Beyond targeting methods, U.S. Air Force research and operational experience with the AC-130 have revealed another important advantage of cannon-based firepower. Although unguided cannon rounds lack the destructive power of precision-guided missiles, their smaller blast radius compared to bombs and large missiles makes them better suited for close air support missions. In real combat situations, friendly infantry units are often positioned very close to enemy forces. The use of high-explosive bombs or large guided missiles in such scenarios carries a significant risk of fratricide and collateral damage. By contrast, unguided cannon rounds, with their limited explosive radius, are far less likely to cause unintended harm to friendly troops. As a result, the AC-130 can safely deliver dense and sustained fire in areas extremely close to Allied ground forces. This capability allows the aircraft to perform high-intensity fire support missions that would be impractical for other strike platforms. In the past, the U.S. Air Force seriously considered replacing the AC-130's cannons with a suite of precision-guided weapons. However, because of the unique advantages that cannon fire provides in supporting ground troops, these replacement plans were repeatedly delayed. For the Russian military, the situation is even more straightforward. Russia has little incentive to replace unguided weapons with expensive precision-guided missiles on a gunship platform. To this day, Russian forces remain heavily dependent on unguided munitions. Russia does not lack artillery shells. What it lacks are large stockpiles of advanced guided missiles. Under these conditions, a side-firing gunship aircraft would represent an extremely valuable addition to Russia's combat system. Such a platform could provide accurate close air support without relying on costly guided weapons, making it both effective and economical in low-threat environments. Russia's need for a platform similar to the AC-130 became especially evident during its military operations in Syria. Beginning in late 2015, Russian forces conducted large-scale air operations in support of ground troops. During this period, the Russian Air Force carried out an average of approximately 60 airstrikes per day. It is important to note that many of these strikes were not directed against high-value strategic targets. Instead, Russian aircraft frequently engaged lightly defended vehicles, supply convoys, and dispersed enemy positions. Because of the high speed and limited loiter time of Russian fighter bombers, many missions that an AC-130 could complete in a single sortie required multiple aircraft and repeated attack runs to achieve similar results. Russia's heavy reliance on unguided munitions was also clearly exposed during these operations. Due to shortages of precision-guided weapons, Russian forces often relied on auxiliary targeting systems such as the SVP-24 to improve the accuracy of conventional bombs. While effective, these systems inevitably increase the overall cost of unguided munitions. It must also be remembered that Russia's logistical capacity and financial resources are not comparable to those of the United States. If Russia had possessed an AC-130 type gunship during the Syrian conflict, it could have provided precise and sustained fire support to ground forces, even when friendly troops were operating extremely close to enemy positions. Such a platform would have been able to exploit overwhelming firepower to continuously suppress targets over wide areas while maintaining long-duration loiter over the battlefield. The combination of multiple cannons with different calibers on a single aircraft is precisely the kind of firepower integration that Russian forces require. Inspired by the AC-130 concept, Russian defense enterprises have repeatedly explored the possibility of equipping a domestic gunship with a wide variety of munitions, including unguided bombs and guided missiles. In reality, information about a Russian AC-130 type aircraft first surfaced in 2019. However, even before that, Russia had already conducted multiple experiments to convert transport aircraft into improvised gunship platforms. As early as 2015, Russian forces modified an IL-76MD transport aircraft to enable it to carry aerial bombs. Looking further back, the Antonov Design Bureau had previously designed the AN-12 with bomb racks mounted near the landing gear, allowing it to perform limited bombing missions when required. Later variants of the AN-12 removed these features, but the concept itself had already been explored. Additionally, the AN-12 was once tested with internal bomb conveyor systems inside the cargo bay, allowing bombs to be released directly from the rear of the aircraft. Had suitable sensors been available at the time, such an aircraft might have been capable of conducting night strike and surveillance missions similar to those performed by U.S. gunships. However, times have changed. In recent years, Russia has developed a wide range of electronic countermeasure systems that could significantly improve the survivability of a gunship aircraft operating at night. One notable example is Russia's directional infrared countermeasure system, known as President S. This system uses small laser turrets to jam and deflect short-range missiles that rely on infrared seekers. In practice, this means that a future Russian gunship would not have to rely solely on armor and altitude for protection. Instead, it could combine electronic warfare, infrared countermeasures, and tactical flight profiles to reduce vulnerability in low-threat environments. Beyond electronic systems, Russia is also not limited to the An-12 airframe as the sole candidate for a flying gunship. From a purely technical standpoint, there is no compelling reason why Russia must insist on using the An-12 as the foundation for its gunship concept. The An-12 is merely a convenient reference point for comparing Russia's efforts to the American AC-130. In reality, several other domestic aircraft airframes ultimately depend on availability. In some respects, Russia may imagine itself as a mirror image of the U.S. military on the global stage, but reality suggests otherwise. This contrast highlights the limitations of imitation when strategic ecosystems differ fundamentally. Looking at the story of the AC-130 as a whole, one lesson becomes unmistakably clear. The true strength of this aircraft does not lie solely in the 105mm cannon or in the sheer volume of fire it can deliver. Its real power lies in doctrine, in tactics, and in how well the weapon fits the battlefield it was designed for. The AC-130 was a product of a specific military ecosystem. It was built to operate under conditions of air superiority, with strong intelligence support, robust logistics, and highly trained crews capable of coordinating closely with ground forces. Within that framework, its ability to loiter, to strike precisely, and to support infantry at extremely close range made it an irreplaceable asset. However, as adversaries evolve, air defenses grow denser, and battlefields become more contested, what was once an advantage can gradually turn into a vulnerability. This is why the United States Air Force has begun to seriously consider removing the 105mm cannon from the AC-130 starting around 2026. The shift is not a rejection of the platform, but an acknowledgement that the nature of warfare has changed. Future upgrades for the AC-130 are expected to focus on survivability and standoff capability. These plans include the integration of small cruise missiles, advanced active electronically scanned array radars, and improved communications and networking systems to better connect the aircraft with joint command structures. In this vision, the AC-130 must adapt to remain relevant in harsher and more complex environments. Ironically, the very feature that has long fascinated the Russian military, the AC-130's reliance on unguided side-firing weapons, is now viewed by the U.S. as a legacy capability that must be re-examined. This contrast highlights a fundamental difference in strategic priorities and resources. The broader lesson is clear. Weapons alone do not side-by-side outcomes. Attempting to copy a successful system without reproducing the tactics, training, command philosophy, and logistical foundation behind it is unlikely to succeed. Imitation without understanding often leads to disappointment. The AC-130 succeeded because it fit perfectly within the way the U.S. military fights. Placed into a different system, with different constraints and assumptions, its effectiveness is far from guaranteed. This reality underscores a simple truth. Military power is not about hardware alone, but about the integration of people, ideas, and adaptability. If you found this analysis useful and insightful, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you do not miss future episodes. Your support is what motivates me to continue bringing you in-depth analysis and strategic perspective. I'm Hai. Thank you sincerely for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video. Thank you, and goodbye.